Good morning, everybody. I'm going to talk about fundraising today because it's quite an important part of nearly all businesses today. And so what I would say is this. Fundraising is a full-time job, right? First of all. It's not something that you say, oh, well, we'll start fundraising, or I'm going to run the business and I'm going to fundraise as well. It's a full-time job. It really is. I can't tell you how many decks I've written. I mean, hundreds. I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't 1,000, literally. And every time you do a deck, you'll change it and tweak it a bit, and you'll send it out, you'll get feedback, and it's a moving feast. But finding the investors, talking to the investors, pitching the investors, sometimes traveling to see the investors, it's a huge thing. It takes a lot of time, takes a lot of effort, and it will actually distract you from running the business if you have a business already. These days things are slightly different in that you can get a good idea, or maybe you could build some software, right? And you could go out and raise some money before you've even started, so pre-revenue businesses, etc. So I just want to cover on this video just a few things around how funding works. I'll go into more detail in other videos, maybe about how to build your deck, the core ingredients that should be in a deck that a VC is going to look for. But today, really, what I want to sort of talk about is really the rounds. So if you've got an idea, and there's businesses today that are basically they don't even have a website. They've got these what they call dark websites or something, and they're basically saying that, oh, they don't want to let the market know what they have, blah blah blah, and all this rubbish. But if you have an idea, you can raise like a pre-seed round. So there's a lot of pre-seed and seed investors. They all went away, and they always do in recessions, when there's a market collapse or something. All your pre-seed and seed round investors go away. But at the moment, 2026, there's a lot of pre-seed and seed investors, of people trying to get in early. So they're trying to get the biggest return. I mean, all VCs want a really big return. I'd say probably 20x their investment. So they all want a big return, but there's a lot of VCs will invest anywhere from probably 250k up to a couple of million in a pre-seed to seed business. Now, pre-seed means you've got an idea, right? So maybe you have a MVP, a minimal viable product, or maybe you don't, but that's a pre-seed. And I would say if you can just get maybe a few $100,000 just to prove that there's actually a business there, just to get maybe some products in the hands of customers, give them it free, get them to give you some feedback. You'll learn a lot of lessons from doing that, but just basically to get something into the market, get a minimum viable product into the market, so that you can then raise a seed round. And a seed round is okay. We've tested the market. We know that we've got that there's a market there. We know there's a demand for the product. People will happily pay for the product, and so we want to grow it now. And so we want to really go to market properly, if you like. And so seed rounds you can raise. I mean, these are all. If you start talking AI today, you'll see, pre-seed or seed rounds of $10 million. I mean, there's crazy numbers. There's valuations of like, I think historically you would get, say, Silicon Valley, you could get anywhere from 10 to 50x revenue. These days there's like 500x revenue, valuations. So there's some really crazy valuations. So none of it really makes sense. But I think that's probably one of the good lessons that I can tell you, is that in fundraising, there's no blueprint. None of it makes sense, literally none of it, because, you know, people, you know, a business is worth what somebody is prepared to pay for it, right? The same as a product is worth what somebody is prepared to pay for it. There's no point in you setting a price on your product, right? And saying, oh, well, that's how much we sell it for. Because until you've got out into the market and sold it and proven that someone is prepared to pay that amount, right, then there is no price. The price is what people are prepared to pay. And it's the same in funding. You know, a valuation might be crazy to one person, but I can guarantee you there'll be somebody out there that will agree with you, or that will understand the market better, and they will basically back it. So, you know, seed rounds, I would say anywhere from probably again $500,000 up to probably a couple of million for a normal business, I would say is normal to raise money. So, you know, with that sort of money, you can really establish a team. You can really establish a business. You know, a couple of $1 million. If you can't establish a business, then you're in the wrong business. You know, you should be able to really take that business to market. Now, you know, the VCs that are out there, there's thousands of VCs, thousands of angel investors, high net worth individuals, etc., that are available to you. You know, so a no from one doesn't mean anything, and I can guarantee you, and unfortunately, it's just how the industry is today, and especially with AI. If you send a deck into a VC without an introduction from somebody else, or without them knowing you're the same as sending a CV today. You know, there's an AI that's probably, you know, evaluating the business, the deck. It's looking for keywords, right? So if it hasn't got the right keywords for what they're looking for at the moment, it won't even get to their intern, right? And this is the reality of raising money. This is why it's difficult. Most VCs will have an intern looking at your deck first, and you know, what does the intern know, right? So the intern's going to look at your deck and going to decide whether basically that business should, you know, the partner or somebody in that company who could actually make a decision or could give you a meeting is actually going to give you a meeting or not. And so that's the difficulty. So if you're going to raise money, try and get an introduction, right? Find somebody that you know that's raised money and get them to introduce you to their VC or their investor. So give them the deck and ask them to send it to that investor, because they will read that. They will read that, and it gives a lot of power, because VCs, you know, VCs aren't people who are that clever, really. You know, they follow trends, right? They follow other people, right? So, you know, you've got to understand that, because if VCs are just going out on a limb, then it's risky. But if it's the old adage of no one was ever fired for buying HP. It's the same in VCs. They will try and back businesses, and if they've got a reason for backing it, you know, and they can say, well, because we'd funded this company and he knew them and he recommended them, highly recommended them, said they were good operators, good team, etc., then that's why they would invest. And a lot of VCs will work on the basis of, you know, the same as the market, you know, 92% of companies failing within the first 2 to 5 years. They'll work on a 9-to-1 basis. I mean, good VCs probably have a 70-30, you know, 30% success. If they have that, they're doing incredibly well. But that one business that actually wins is the business that pays for the failures. So again, it's another really good lesson, which is that the total addressable market, the TAM, needs to be big enough for these VCs to not just make the money from your business or the return. It's no good saying, oh, well, you'll get a 20x return if that 20x isn't huge. They want to be able to pay for the failures that they've had as well, for the investments that they made that didn't pay off, right? and they might put $1 million in 10 different companies and hope that one of them will pay off. So understand the mentality of the especially the VC market. But there's many ways of raising money, and I would say in today the best way to raise money if you're just starting out is to go on an accelerator. You probably know the YC Combinator. They'll invest like $500,000 in your business. You know, you will get mentorship, you will get so much value from having access to their network. They'll open doors so that you'll get quick access to customers. You'll be able to learn from other companies that are on that actual program, and so you know they're learning the same time as you. They're learning different lessons, right? So you know you're learning from what they're learning as well, so you're doubling up. And then you've got the experience of all of these mentors that are on those programs, the entrepreneurs in residence, etc. And you've got, like, you know, anything from a lot of these programs. I mean, there's some that give you money, they'll give you 100k, but then they'll charge you 35k for being on the program. But as long as you got enough money to be able to actually go there to wherever it is, because I wouldn't just say, oh well, there's none in my country. Just go wherever it is. Go to America, go to, you know, I mean, when I first raised money, it was in Singapore. You know, I'm in Thailand. When I first raised money, it was in Singapore. All my companies, in fact, are in Singapore. So I would say that an accelerator, incubator is really good way to start a business these days. And also, if you go on a good one, if you can get onto like a YC, they're bringing investors to you at the end of the pitch day. So it allows you to be able to pitch hundreds of VCs, have them in the room. You can get their business cards, and always remember that the success that you will have, whether it's now or later, will be defined by your network, right? So your network is your net worth, and it will become more evident the older you get. And my network today, I've sat down with kings, I've sat down with princes in Saudi Arabia, in Bahrain, in Abu Dhabi, in Dubai. I've sat with princes in palaces, and I've met so many billionaires, you know, that are actually now friends of mine. And so my network is incredible. So if I have something that I'm doing that becomes successful, and I want to take it into another country, like for example the Middle East, then I've got that network there that I can tap into. Basically, you know, share the wealth with that network. And so if you have a network, don't keep taking from it, give to it, and give 10 times and take once, but build your network. So, you know, having all of these going on, you can go on more than one accelerator. It's a great experience for you to learn from experienced people, for you to raise that little bit of money, get some traction, get into the market, sell your products, and then start raising money on the demo day. And it's usually, most of the deals are done before even the demo day. You know, if VCs like what you're doing, they see you getting some traction, they see you getting some sales, they will back you, you know, and you'll get offers straight away. If you've got something, they'll see it and they'll want to be part of it. And VCs are swarming around. They're usually linked to these accelerators anyway, and so, you know, like I say, you'll get probably 250k up to $500,000. That's top end with YC, but 100, 250, whatever, and either a cost of the program or not. But either way, if you get on there and you can actually just cover your own overhead for going on the actual program, you will make that money back with your selling your product into the market or getting investors anyway. So really, you know, important thing. Once you've got to your seed round, your A round or pre-A round comes when you're looking to really scale. So you've already got traction in the market. you're looking to really scale. You want to go into new markets, new countries, etc. You've proven everything, and you now want to raise an A round, and an A round will start at 5 million and go up. So, you know, they're the main rounds you're going to look at: pre-seed, seed, pre-A and A, or pre-seed, seed and A. And then when you get into the B, C's and D's, you're pretty much going towards your exit or IPO. So you know, that's really not, you'll have advisors at that time, but your pre-seed, seed and A are definitely what you want to focus on. And as I say in another video, I will do a video on my computer just going through decks, what needs to be in there, how to structure it, and then how to get it out. There's quite a few tools out there that you can use these days to get access to emails of VCs, so that you can send the individual person an email, as opposed to it going to a, you know, where they say upload your pitch deck. That just goes to your AI and your intern, or, you know, to an info at email address. It's just, don't even bother. It's just gonna build your you know, your appetite up. You're gonna think, oh well, we've sent 100 emails, you know, 100 decks out, but I can guarantee you'll be looking to get one meeting out of 100 decks going out to info at email addresses, literally. So don't waste your time. You know, there's much better ways of doing it, and as I say, I'll cover those on another video.